Hey there, tech enthusiast. Get ready for Tech Ties and Human Vibes, the podcast where technology in the AI era meets the human touch.
Hey, I'm Adam Nelson with Tech Ties and Human Vibes, and I am here with my co-host, Nancy Henriquez. Nancy, thank you for joining us. And Brian Stoner with Judy. Brian, you know what? We'll address the name in a little bit, but could you tell us a little bit about yourself and about Judy and what you guys do?
Yeah, absolutely, Adam. Thank you so much for having me on today. It's really a pleasure. I've watched your podcast and really enjoy it. So, yeah, I'm Brian Stoner. I'm the Senior Vice President of Growth at Judy Security. And I'm super fortunate to work with a longtime friend of mine, Raphael Matone. He and I met at McAfee over 25 years ago. So, kind of going back there a ways. But he and I both worked at McAfee and then together at FireEye. And he went to little startup called Duo that got acquired by Cisco. And I went to a company called Silence that got acquired by BlackBerry. Not as big of an exit as Raphael had, but after that, Raphael decided he wanted to create a company because we had focused so much on enterprise security and kind of seen how the smaller businesses didn't get that same level of support and protection. And he created Judy to do just that. So Judy is a company that's focused on supporting small business through their MSP partners.
So how do you, Judy Security, how do you actually help? Can you dive a little bit into that so I can have a better understanding?
Sure. So there's a few different things that small businesses need. And the challenge that they have is that when they work with providers that are stacking a bunch of commercially available tools on top of each other, the solution gets very expensive. Okay. And so what Raphael and the team have done is a lot of the technologies that I would kind of consider commoditized at this point, things like endpoint security, password managers, MFA apps, even our email security, we built in house. And so we're not paying for Super Bowl ads. We're not sponsoring F1 race teams. And so we've designed this solution to provide these small business partners all of the key protections that they need at a price they can afford.
Love that.
Very interesting.
For sure, especially you mentioning, the fact that you add a whole bunch of things, which usually is what MSPs are doing now, is just adding tool on top of tool on top of tool to keep
Yeah.
apprised of all of the different threats that are out there. So what you're saying is that Judy is a single solution that offers all of those, or answers all of those key areas that are needed.
Yeah. So the MSP partners, the reason we partner with them is they're doing the break fix on the small customers' hardware. They're helping them with their patch management. They're doing all those things. But what they really can't afford to do is build a 24/7 security operations center that, monitors all of these things. But, you know, in the market, the challenge they face is, they go with the big RMM vendors who have these bundles and things, and they have minimums, and those big RMM vendors acquired companies like Judy, and then they kind of oversubscribe them to the point where the partner really doesn't get that white glove support that they provide to their small business customer. So what we do that's a little bit different is that we use the technology to help us provide that white glove service to our partners, and then ultimately to their customers.
And this technology is proprietary, right?
Well, so we do have, those four things that I mentioned earlier that we built ourselves in house. But we do have, we can't build everything. That's kind of difficult. So we do have a company called Stellar Cyber that we use for our, we call it our blue team, our security operations center. And what we love about that platform is we run a business supporting lots of small businesses. And so traditional SOC platforms are very labor intensive. And so, when you bring in a firewall log, that's in a different format from their Office 365 logs, which is a different format from, their email logs, right? It's just all different. And so in a traditional SOC platform, you have to write rules for each set of data and then rules to kind of connect the data. And every customer kind of becomes a snowflake at that point because they also have custom rules that they need. So what we love about Stellar Cyber is we can go into any customer's environment and use whatever they have when we meet them. So we can kind of meet them where they're at. And this platform actually brings all of that data in and normalizes it into a standard format called JSON. And when it's in that standard format, Stellar Cyber has already done all of the hard work to build all of the rules and detections. So now their detections cut across all the data, not just certain subsets of it. And when we see the data in the platform, instead of just seeing a list of alerts and severities and this, that, and the other thing, it actually draws a picture for us. They use this thing called graph machine learning, where you can see, oh, this is the external account. It compromised this machine. Then it did these 3 things. Then those things spawned 5 more things. And it really informs our analysts on, hey, here's how we fix it, right? So that's one of the really exciting things that we like about Stellar Cyber. Now, we also have to have cybersecurity awareness training. If the small customer has a compliance requirement or they need cyber risk insurance, everybody has to have it. And so a lot of those big platforms are kind of hard to program and push out, and they don't allow for customization and things like that. So we work with another company called Boceron that helps us provide that training out to these small business customers. It's really cool because they have a questionnaire that figures out how much they know and then recommends training based on that. So it's not just everybody gets the same thing blown out every time. It's tailored to the user.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And then we have DNS filtering. So, if you go to a website that's an hour old and nobody's ever seen it before and it has no reputation, we can prevent them from going there and have them submit it to us for analysis, things like that. And because BYOD is so prevalent in these small businesses, we can even create enforcement policies that work during business hours, and then the user can do what they want on their personal time. So it's pretty cool. And then finally, compliance is just so important these days. We partnered with a company called StrikeGraph, and they offer a platform that has all the different compliance frameworks built into it. And so they can get NIST CSF for free as part of our standard bundles. And then if they've never done compliance before, it has all the templates built into it, right connected to their controls. So if they don't have an acceptable use policy or their patch management policy or their onboarding, offboarding policy, there's templates there. And the partner can just work through the list with their customer, get them ready. Judy Security, if you buy our premium bundle, has everything they need from a technology control perspective.
Nice.
So we push the reports in every month based on the way they're named. It attaches to the control and creates the historical repository for all their reports. So when the auditor comes in, it's all in one place, easy for them to go see what they need to see and complete their audit quickly.
Very nice.
Yeah, that seems like
That was a
lot.
mouthful. I went through a lot. Yeah.
That is a mouthful. I'm curious on where the name came from, Judy Security.
Okay, so that's actually a fun story because it has a personal reference for me and for Raphael. Okay, so one of the core components of Judy is that she is an AI assistant. Okay, so when you're on your device and you do something that's risky, Judy will pop up and say, "Hey, that file you downloaded could be malware. Don't open that." Okay,
She comes up and slaps you.
yeah, well, she's just watching, in case she sees something happening, But when Raphael started the company, if you remember, about 5-7 years ago, that's when Alexa and Siri came out and everybody was naming their technology, right?
Yep.
So Raphael did a focus group, and the whole purpose of the focus group was to figure out what to call the AI. And so the first question they asked the group was, well, should it be a male or female, persona? And it was unanimous. The focus group said, no, female. We don't want to be told what to do by a guy, right? I'm sure we all appreciate that. So then they started
No
looking,
mansplaining there.
they started looking at different names. And obviously Karen was not a good choice. So we didn't go with Karen. Okay.
That's a good call. Good call
Yeah,
on that.
Yeah, probably.
But Raphael had two people that were very close to him. One was a personal friend named Stacy, and the other was his Aunt Judy. Now, this is where it gets fun. My sister's name is Stacy, and my aunt's name was Judy. So I was like, oh, this has to be meant to be, right? So the focus group reviewed it, and then they figured out that Stacy doesn't translate into every language globally, but Judy does. And so that's why the choice was made to name our AI Judy. And that's why what we're really proud of is when the partner gets used to Judy so much that they refer to her as part of the team.
That is,
Oh, yeah.
I could see
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Especially if she's coming up and slapping them every time that they're trying to do something they shouldn't.
It's not slapping.
No?
It's more like a gentle reminder, like, hey, come on.
Okay, all right.
Well, I refer to Gemini as part of the team, and I hate the name Gemini. Like, I want it to be named something else because
Well,
I
and
just,
I'm sure someday we're
Jimmy.
all going to be able to name our own assistants.
I would
My
love that.
wife made hers have an English accent, so whenever she gets directions in the car, I'm like, where did this come from?
You're driving on the wrong side of the car.
Exactly.
Oh, that's funny. That's a great story, though. I really like that. Okay, totally off
Oh,
topic, and then we can circle back around to Judy Security. Your name, Stoner. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
that must have been a fun name as a kid.
Well, so my family name goes all the way back to the Revolutionary War. But before that, when my ancestors came from Germany, my last name was Steiner.
Oh,
And so
what happened along the way?
when they got to Ellis Island, they wanted to Americanize the name, so they changed it to Stoner, and that's how I have my name.
wow. That is awesome. They had no idea that Stoner would mean something in like the 60s and 70s, 80s, 90s,
Oh yeah, no,
that it
I had to beat up the biggest kid in class at the beginning of school every year so that I didn't get teased. And then, when I got into high school, everybody thought it was really cool, and in college, nobody believed me. They just thought that's what I was.
how times change.
Yes.
I
That is
love
great.
that.
Mhm.
Oh, I love
I
it.
love
That
that
is
you know the
awesome.
history of it.
Of course.
Exactly. Yeah, that's something that some of us don't have in that sense. The historical way that we got our last names or anything like that. I don't know where Henriquez came from. But
Yeah,
it's also
same.
not as cool as Stoner. I would definitely prefer that last name. No, I'm just kidding. It's a cool last name. It is. It is.
It is a
So,
very
do
cool
you
last
go to
name, actually.
Colorado often?
And
No.
so professionally, right? People remember me all the time. They're like, "Oh,
It's an easy name to remember. Yeah, without a doubt.
I love it.
Okay, so back to Judy Security.
sure."
When you do security training for the SMB world, right? Or do you just offer that training for the MSP and the MSP has to offer it to the SMB?
No, the MSP sets it up for the SMB customer. So they put in the list of employees, their email addresses, and it sends out the initial questionnaire. I've actually been through it. It's pretty fun. It's pretty easy. It's like a 5-minute thing. And then the courses are like 3 to 5 minutes a piece too. So it's nice and light, gets the content across. You can self-pace go through it, or it'll send like one out a week. So it's not a heavy lift for the small business customer, but an informed customer is way harder to breach than one that hasn't been through the training. So,
Yeah.
it's as important as patch management, I think, and making sure that the user knows as much about the cyber risk as their MSP partner does.
Now,
Oh
have
yeah.
you
I
ever
used to
been?
say I used to say that that's like the first line of defense,
It is.
is the first users, right? The end users that are needing that training and that kind of thing. So go
Yeah.
ahead, Adam.
Well,
Now,
and
no, I was just
I tell partners and customers all the time. I'm like, look, I lock my credit report, right? I'm a customer of Comcast. I'm a customer of AT&T. I don't know if I can say all these names, but I have my cell phone service. I have my cable service. They've all been breached, right?
yeah.
My name is all over the dark web, along with my old passwords, probably, right? So the one thing you can do to protect yourself is lock your credit report because nobody can check your credit or create anything in your name if your credit report's locked. And I pay $24.99 a month to Experian, I think, to do that. But when
Huh.
I was before I joined Judy, I was an advisor, and I told Raphael, I said, if we can provide something for less than I pay for my credit report, locking every month, then I think we really got something. And so, luckily, that's what we've been able to do.
So,
That's
well, that would lead me to what is the price then?
Well, so it starts as low as this is MSRP, right? $6 a user per month
Okay.
to manage their mess for less. That's what I call it. That's our blue team
I
package.
love
So we
that.
can go in with Stellar Cyber. We can integrate with whatever they have, right? Get to know them, understand them, work with the partner, and then when they're ready to upgrade to other things or consider different Judy capabilities, then we can kind of upsell them from there. So for us as a business, that creates a lot of leverage, right? We can basically accelerate the pipeline with the partners because now we're not making them replace everything.
Mm.
With most MSSP packages, you got to replace everything before they're going to support it. With this, it's light, it's easy, and we learn a lot. And then we can go back making an informed recommendation based on what we're seeing in their environment, which is really important.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you had mentioned McAfee being one of the places that you come from, and so I'm I'm guessing that your experience within the channel over the years has guided the way that you guys have created your partner program and all of that. Can you talk a little bit about that history and how you got to that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, it's happenstance that it actually happened this way, but I was in the telecom business for 13 years before I got into cybersecurity. And so I got my master's degree and I wound up working for a Cisco VAR that was doing ITIL and COBIT consulting. So I know all about IT operations. And so when I went into computer associates, I went into a channel position. That was really my first channel position. And so at that time, I was selling products through CDW and
Oh
the
yeah.
Insight and the really big guys, right? And I got to tell you, it's kind of a grind. You buy people lunch all the time and you shake their hands and then they do nothing, right? So it's not as fun. So when I was with McAfee, I was also a channel manager and I was managing Forsyth here in Chicago, but I was also managing the MSP channel. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So my history with the MSPs goes back like 20 years, a long time. And so I've always known kind of what motivates them and what kind of things they need. And so I did spend some time at a company called Solutionary, where I was the VP of Business Development. I helped them get acquired by NTT using my telco experience because I had worked at NTT before, right? And then I, went to work at Silence, after that. And so all of my positions have been in the channel. At Silence, Ed Angel and I grew that part of our business from one partner to 550 in 2 years.
Oh
And we
wow.
were we were doing 38 million in Silence revenue per year.
Wow.
So When I then I went to a company called Stellar Cyber for a bit, which is who we use for our SOC platform, and I helped them build their program for MSSPs. And today, when I started there, they had like 2 MSSPs. Today, they have 80 of the top 250.
Wow.
Wow.
So I got them up to about 26 before I moved on to another position. But when I started at Judy, we had been doing kind of a combination of some direct, some channel. And I was like, okay, we can't play hokey pokey with the channel. We're either all in or we're all out. Right. And I said, the second thing is the only part of the channel that can generate its own business is the MSP channel.
Yep.
The VARs
Love
are
that.
all sitting around waiting for their leads. They don't generate much of anything unless the customer asks them for it by name. The MSPs, when you work with them and you get built into their stack and they trust you, your business can grow. It just snowballs, right? Because they bring on their first few, they like it, they bring on some more, they figure out, oh, I can go get new customers more easily with Judy. Great, I'm going to add them. And so we just see these nice, smooth growth curves from all of our partners. Now, when I started, we had about 70, and they were smaller guys. The product was way different back then, but now we're starting to attract the bigger ones. So if you think about it, as the growth goes, right, the growth goes up, but every partner is going up at the same time. So now we're up to almost 200 partners. So if they all grow at 10% a month,
Yeah.
it's huge. And
Yeah.
so I've had to train lots of investors on this strategy. And I'm very glad to say that Raphael has some of the right investors and advisors that know exactly what I'm doing. And they feel like this is the best approach that we could be taking.
I love this approach because, and just listening to you, all I'm hearing is that the experience that you have and how you within Judy have created these partnerships, really, you guys are doing the exact same thing that MSPs should do in the sense of figuring out what capabilities they have in-house and
Mhm.
then what capabilities they need in order to partner with someone to then be able to align themselves to their clients, right? And so it really is a mutual growth within the vendors, the MSP, or you, Judy, the vendor, the MSPs, and then their end customers as well, because it's technically 3 layers of protection, 3 layers of growth, and 3 layers of alignment.
Yeah, and one of the other things that I did that I think is really helping to reduce the friction with the MSPs is we have no minimums. Okay, there's no annual commitment. When you talk to most vendors, they'll say, "Oh, well, you got to spend 15,000 in your first year, or it's 500 a month minimum, and then you can pay for the incremental on top of that." The smaller MSPs can't afford that, especially in this economy with all the tariffs and all the uncertainty that's happening right now. So what we did is instead of I call that the stick approach. Okay, the stick approach is you either do it or you don't get my product, right? And
There's the
that's no
slap.
fun. Nobody likes that. So mine is the carrot approach. Okay, with our program, every month as you add volume, your cost per user on all of your users goes down every month. So there's
Mm.
different tiers at like 500 and 750 and 1,000. And when you get up to 5,000, you're at 50% off of MSRP.
Oh, wow.
And so we just won an award about 2 months ago from CRN, recognizing the benefits of this program that we've developed.
I mean, it almost sounds like you've structured the business, right, to, and I hate to even say this, but to help the MSP versus a lot of companies out there are in it for themselves, right?
Mhm.
But it really does sound like you're trying to help, not just sell a product and make money.
Yeah, and MSPs are at all different maturity levels, right? So you can't treat them all the same. And I'm really fortunate to have a customer success team that helps incubate these partners. We have 10 different technologies right now that they can sell to their customers. Okay. I've shared 8 of them with you already. We also have Judy Scan, and now we have Judy Backup in addition. So, it's not like I can go into a partner and say, I'm going to train you in an hour. It doesn't work that way, right? So I need to kind of meet them where they're at, understand what their goals are, and make sure that my program can fit into where they want to go to, kind of skate to where the puck's going to be, and train them on the things that they want to offer. I can a la carte any of my services out for them if they've already sold Password Manager, if they've already sold Backup. They don't have to buy Judy's, right? But what we can do is we can help them upscale their capabilities as we go. So when we first meet these smaller partners, my customer success team does the implementation for them. They do the tuning for them. They get the customer up and running. They help them with the billing. Now, a more mature partner might say, hey, we want to co-manage the blue team with you. During business hours, we want our team to be involved in triaging cases and things like that. So with the role-based access controls in Stellar Cyber, I can create a RACI matrix with every customer and every partner. So based on the severity of an event, I can follow the prescription of whatever that partner wanted me to do. So at 2 a.m, if I need to send something to PagerDuty to wake somebody up to get help, I do it. If I don't need to bother them until the next morning because my team took care of something, we actually jump in and send the block rule to the firewall. We'll contain the device. We'll reset the Office 365 account. Whatever we have the capability of doing, we'll do that remediation and then just notify. But as they grow and they want to grow their capabilities, there's a Stellar Cyber Academy in the tool. They can do self-paced training in their off hours and build that capability in their business. So you're absolutely right. We need to kind of meet them where they're at, help them where they need it. And then as they grow in their understanding of cybersecurity and the services they want to offer, then we can help them get there.
Whew, that is true partnership right there.
That is. It is.
Yeah.
That is.
I'm
wow.
really fortunate to have a CEO and a board that understand what that means, because that is the big headwind for all the other channel managers out there, is that they're, 3/4 of their business comes direct, another quarter comes through the channel. Very little of it is, MSP, or the MSP is working with some, big RMM vendor who's like jamming 12 new products down their throat every meeting. It's just, they're just looking for simple, they're looking for help. And, when we build that relationship, we build that trust and we earn it. That's why we win a lot of business from our competitors.
And it truly is a white glove service. So a shameless plug. I am going to say that we are onboarding a client of ours at Civil Consulting Group with Judy, and so we did the first phase of the onboarding, and I was amazed in the sense of it is really white glove service in that aspect. I think we had 4 team members on our side join the call, and I think you had like 20.
It wasn't quite that many, but yeah, I mean, so we have a customer success team and we have our SOC team, and they're all there to get them set up, to understand what their needs are, to hear what the partner has to say, and to make sure that in our follow-on meetings that we're helping them in the ways that they need to be helped. Absolutely.
Oof.
Wow.
Yeah, that's good. That is definitely very good, and not something that you see within the channel in this way. To truly embed the partnership into the MSP, ultimately speaking, and have those additional hands to be able to offload some of that capacity, especially for the smaller MSPs that are trying to, get ahead in however ways they can. So this is really a good product for them.
Yeah, I mean, the challenge that a lot of these guys have is they're so busy with their break fix and everything. There are things that you need to do to deploy Judy and Stellar Cyber, right? You got to take the old stuff off. You got to put Judy on. Luckily, Judy's one install package for everything. So That saves them a ton of time. I'll tell you, when you talk to the big RMM vendors about their bundles, they're using AI to deploy 8 different agents every time. They're not using AI in the sense that it's providing better protection or better detection. It's just automating all the manual processes because they never really integrated the tools.
So no
And
matter what service they go with, it's one agent.
yeah, here's the cool part. So when Judy loads, if you're using Judy on the device, she scans it for any malware, makes sure that the device is clean, and then it phones home to the tenant. Okay. The tenant is where we tell it which bundle they've subscribed to. So we have 4 different bundles. And so when the partner sets up the tenant, they choose the bundle, whether it's blue team or threat defense or premium or advanced. And so what's really cool is once they're connected to the tenant, they can upgrade and downgrade it. And the next time the device checks in, it automatically gets updated. So literally, they can install Judy once and never have to install it again. And they can change the subscription however the customer wants.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
That is sweet.
So it's all about reducing that friction, for the partner. There's so many things that slow down their pipeline. I'll give you another quick example. Anytime you talk about SOC services, there's 2 things that come up: events per second and your daily ingestion. Nancy, do you know your daily ingestion or your logs or your events per second?
No.
No.
I do not.
And if I was, selling to you and I had to ask you that question and tell you that your bill is going to be based on that, even though you have no idea what that is, would that prevent you from buying that service?
Oh, absolutely. I'd be scared out of my mind.
That's what we've been asking these small business customers to do for 20 years.
It's crazy.
They have no clue what that is. So one of the other key things that we did is we worked out an agreement with Stellar Cyber where we only charge per user per month, flat rate. Okay. So that awkward conversation goes away. The small business customers that didn't understand it and didn't buy cybersecurity because they hadn't been breached yet and they didn't think they needed it can now buy it for $6 a month and have somebody monitor it 24/7.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're not willing to do that, I don't know what else I can do.
Judy needs to come up and slap them.
Well,
I'm keeping with that theme. I'm sorry.
When I talk to a partner, the 2 things: it's too complex and it's too expensive. Okay, great. I solved all that. Now, how do we get your pipeline going?
Yep. Well, that might be a whole other problem that we at Sybil Consulting Group can solve.
Exactly.
Shameless plug again.
Currently, Judy is offering 10 different applications. Is that correct?
Yeah, and they're in the different bundles. But
Okay.
things like the scanning and the backup are a la carte per device because the licensing model's a little different. It's per device, not per user. So it kind of causes some confusion. But the other benefit to being per user is I bring in their Office 365. I bring in any cloud services they're using. I bring in everything they have on-prem, anything else they're using. And that way I don't have any blind spots. When you don't bring in all of the data because they're concerned about storage or about events per second, then I don't bring in all the data. And then I'm opening myself up to the bad guys. If you think EDR alone with managed, monitoring is going to save your business, it is not. That's not where they're going to come in. And so a lot of partners don't realize that that's just been commoditized to the point where everybody is within 0.0001% of each other's effectiveness, but it's not solving the problem. You have to monitor everything. And, I think we all know that Microsoft is a great company, but they have their challenges protecting their customers. And so one of the great things that Stellar Cyber does for us is in those Microsoft shops where they have, 10 different products, guess what? If you install Microsoft Sentinel, that's like going to IKEA, buying a kitchen, driving it home, and trying to install it yourself. It will be extremely painful. It will take you forever, and you probably won't be happy at the end. The same thing happens
Yeah.
when they go with Sentinel for free from Microsoft. It just they have 100 products that are an inch deep, but with Stellar Cyber, we can correlate all of the related alerts and provide the outcome that they're looking for and monitor it for them for less than it costs to buy Microsoft, right? So it's really a huge benefit for them what we've been able to do, integrating Stellar Cyber and all their capabilities with all of Judy's capabilities.
Is there anything new on the horizon that hasn't launched yet that you want to tell us about? That you're
So
allowed to tell us about?
okay. So here's one I'm going to tell you about. So Judy today runs on Kubernetes in AWS. Okay. And so that's what coordinates all these different technologies. So like when you download a file, Judy can look at it and go, okay, that's a net new file. The hash is good. I'll, give them the thumbs up. Or let's say something made it through your email security, a user clicks on it and it goes to a URL. Judy will block it and say, this URL is unsafe. Don't go there. Send it here for analysis, or at your own risk, click to go through. Okay. So that's what she can do today. AWS was so interested in our use case and what we built. They gave us $1 million in consulting to move our Judy's AI from Kubernetes to Bedrock. Bedrock is one of 7 highly performant AI models that you can purchase from AWS. We are adding in additional sources of threat intelligence and additional capabilities to Judy, and you're actually going to be able to ask Judy questions and get answers.
That is awesome.
Very
So
awesome.
she will go out to the web and pull in, hey, I want to know how to configure this printer. Hey, how do I install this, on my computer? She'll pull that in. But as far as like your data and the things that we're collecting, it will stay self-contained to your tenant. So it will still be highly secure. She shares nothing out, but she can bring things in. So having that additional horsepower from Bedrock is what's going to allow us to make that possible. So it's very exciting.
That is very exciting. Okay, I've got one last question.
Sure.
Outside, let's say I'm an MSP. Outside of me going out and Googling Judy Security, how else could I reach you?
Yeah, you can always reach out to me personally, bstoner@judysecurity.ai. But we're also at all the major shows. So we're at the MSP Summit in Orlando.
Okay.
We'll be at ConnectWise IT Nation with Stellar Cyber, and we will be at DattoCon this fall as well. So, any one of those ways, you can reach out to us on our website for a demo, judysecurity.ai. So yeah, and if you're on LinkedIn, send me an invite, follow us, connect with me. I have a huge network. So, always good to have more people in your network, but yeah, lots of different ways you can get a hold of us.
Perfect. Nancy, do you have any additional questions?
No, except that you said your email and I'm like,
I thought
oh,
the same thing. Did you
B
purposely?
Stoner.
Yeah. Did
Yeah.
you pick B Stoner over Brian Stoner?
No. So, okay, I'll give you another stoner thing, right? Okay. So, when I had kids, I told my wife, I said, the first one's going to be named Ima and the other one's going to be named Big. Okay. But, okay, here's another one. So, my son, my wife was a preschool teacher. And so he was very intentional about what we named our kids. And she didn't want my son, AJ, being called Stoner the whole time. Right.
Yeah.
So he goes by AJ. His real name's Andrew John. Right. But he was in a preschool class with another teacher who my wife taught with. And she said, come over here. You got to see something. And she goes, what? She goes, a stoner. And my wife was mortified. She's like, oh my God. And so my son, he's out of college now and everything. And he was looking for vanity license plate. I'll give you one guess. One guess.
A stoner.
Yeah.
A stoner made it. That is so funny.
Yep. I love it. I love it.
There you go.
That is great.
That is great.
Well, Brian, we're going to leave on that. We're going to leave on that note. We do appreciate your time and telling us about Judy Security. Very, very neat stuff going on there and actually getting ready to take place. I think it's great. You guys cut a deal with Amazon. That's always exciting when you get a backer like that. So we do appreciate your time. We appreciate hearing about it and your history as well. So thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us today on Tech Ties and Human Vibes. If you'd like to keep the conversation going, exclusive tips from our speakers, and more, head over to the community at sibylcommunity.com.